I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling. You walk into your living space, your living room, and you are so overwhelmed. There is laundry out, there are toys everywhere, and you don't know what exactly went wrong, but you know that your living spaces aren't working for you and your family. Today, we are going to talk about some of my favorite minimalist tips that I have learned along the way in creating a living room space that is functional, that is clutter-free, but also a living space that can really function for my family without too much fuss. A study done at UCLA found that women who called their homes messy, who felt like their living spaces were overwhelmed, were more stressed than women that said their homes were manageable. And so how do we get to that manageable, right, living space of our dreams? And so that's why it's so important for us today to be able to conquer those problems that we keep having in our living room. And it very may just be that we're overthinking our organization, we're overthinking what we need in our living spaces, and that's why they're not functioning for us. One of the first things that's helped me over the past 6 years to create a calmer living room is to limit my flat surfaces, and the flat surfaces that I do have, to limit the amount of things I can have on them. So that was really hard for me at first, and a concept I didn't understand until I realized that all the magazines I was looking at, all the Instagram reels I was looking at, were telling me one thing, and yet it wasn't making me happy. And they were telling me that my shelves needed to be full, that I needed to have decor on every wall, that it wasn't going to be a home unless I could see lots of beautiful things on all of my flat surfaces. Why doesn't that work, right? Well, I was so overwhelmed. That's why it didn't work. There were things for me to dust, things for me to decorate with, move around, things that I constantly had to be thinking about. And for a brain like mine, I just couldn't keep up with having to take care of this amount of things. So I learned about the rule of 3 or less on a flat surface, and honestly, it changed my life because it allowed me to think differently about my flat surfaces. It allowed me to see that I can have a limit to the amount of decor, and actually creating a limit of 3 or less allowed breathing room for my flat surfaces. And the other thing I started doing with my flat surfaces is creating catch-all areas for things that I needed to contain, like my remotes and my chapstick that I like to have out on my table. No longer was I just throwing remotes everywhere and trying to find them when I needed them. Creating a catch-all area on those flat surfaces, or even putting a tray on those flat surfaces for those things that inevitably are going to be put on there, makes that space always feel less cluttered, because those little tiny things that we have to have a home. Now, what I've found recently is on the flat surface on our fireplace, I have more than 3 things. And at first, I wasn't sure if it was gonna work. But what I found to be another thing on top of the 3 or less rule is that if you do wanna put more decor in a certain area, is to do it slowly and to be very thoughtful about what you're bringing out. I was never thoughtful. I would just go to TJ Maxx or Marshalls and just buy anything and everything that I thought was pretty, right? Because that's what we do. And what I realized is that none of them meant anything to me. If I got rid of them or if they broke, I didn't care that they broke, because it didn't have any sentimental value to me. It didn't have any connection to me, to this object. And so now, even on my fireplace that I have more than the 3 limit, everything that's on that fireplace means something to me, matters to me. So you know what that counteracts is my overwhelm of having to keep up and clean all of these things. It doesn't bother me, because all of the things that are on there, I know now matter to me enough that it's not going to make me feel crazy. I wanted to say a quick thank you to today's sponsor, Kava Haven. Kava Haven is a kava-infused non-alcoholic spirit that helps you relax and unwind without the alcohol. It gives you light, natural, calming effect so that you can feel social, present, and clear-headed without hangovers or the awful brain fog. And you might notice a light numbing sensation on your tongue that's totally normal and part of the traditional kava experience. If you're a sour girl like me, then I like to mix the Kava Haven with a little bit of lemon juice and some simple syrup. I feel like it tastes just like a lemon drop, so for me, that is absolutely delicious. It has a refreshing lemon ginger flavor that's perfect on its own or mixed with a mocktail and has become one of my favorite ways to wind down after a busy day. And when I'm out with friends, I love that it gives me that relaxed social feeling, but without any of those negative side effects of drinking alcohol. This is your chance to make hangovers a thing of the past. Click the link in the description down below and you'll get 15% off your first order. Try it and discover a better way to relax and socialize today. Okay, the next thing that I think all of us overwhelmed people at home should have is a containment basket. I love having a basket in my living room that can be a catch-all, because what do, guys? Like, we don't always have a ton of time to pick everything up, to put everything back when we're running around, but we might have just like 10 seconds or 30 seconds to grab something and throw it in a basket. And that is the power of the containment basket, because it takes things that I know I need to deal with, like I need to get rid of this hair straightener because I no longer want it, and I have some Christmas presents in here that I need to wrap and put away for later, but I haven't had time to deal with them yet. So this basket is very powerful, even though that sounds so silly, right? But it gives me a place to put these things when I just don't have the time or energy to deal with them right now. The great thing about a containment basket is also that I feel like it gives me a out when I need it, right? Like, we can feel really overwhelmed by toys being out, or if we just have a bunch of stuff that we just haven't been able to put away, like things for our kids' schools or Legos or balloons, just the stuff, right? The stuff that comes into our homes. And that used to really bother me, that I felt like I had to have 30, 40 minutes to clean up my living room every day. And who has that? Nobody has that much time. And so I would let things go and let things go, right? And then when I finally got this containment basket, which if you see any of my old videos, you know I've had it for a long time, it gave me a small win. Yes, not everything was being put away right at that moment, but it took the clutter, the overwhelm, and put it in one space. So if at all possible, look around your house and find a basket that you can use in your living room. It does not need to be beautiful. It can just be a cardboard box, but give yourself that small win of, hey, yes, not everything is put away perfectly, but it does feel a lot better in here because I was able to contain the small little bits of clutter that tend to find their way into my living room. I used to be the kind of person that would buy tons of throw pillows. It didn't really matter what kind of texture they were. If I thought they were pretty, I'd throw them on my couch. And that was one of the mistakes I kept making for a long time, until I realized that I probably had a pillow addiction and that I was thinking about some of these things all wrong. So I don't mind having some throw pillows. I like them for comfort and a little bit of texture. But what I've realized is that comfort is king in our living spaces. We want to have a place feel cozy and warm, especially at night when we're all together and hanging out. I don't need to bring in any throw pillows or blankets that aren't texturally something that feels good on our bodies, right? Like, I always get drawn into those beautiful pillows with all the beading on them. But what I realized for myself is that those ones always just got thrown aside, right? Those always got thrown on the ground or put in another room because they weren't comfortable to lay on. They weren't comfortable to hang out with. They were just scratchy. So when you're thinking about what kind of blankets you're going to keep in your living spaces and what kind of throw pillows you're going to keep in your living spaces, think about, is this something that I want to lay my head on? Is this something that feels good on my body? And if not, it might just be that one extra thing, right? It might be beautiful and decor-wise look beautiful, but is it functional? I think that's the piece that I kept missing with our throw pillows and our blankets, is that I would pick things because I thought they were beautiful and forget all about the importance of function. Real quick, if you are decluttering with us, then please hit that subscribe button and join us for this whole journey. And of course, if you're already decluttering with us, then throw a heart emoji down below, because I think we all like to know that we are not alone on this crazy journey. This next one, to my old self, would probably sound the most weird or ridiculous. And that is to create a comfortable living space where you really feel welcomed into. You want to make sure that it feels light, airy, and breathable. And what does that mean, right? So for me, it meant that coming from a space where I used to have decor on every single wall and all of my shelves were full, I just started to slowly take down pictures. And once I took down a picture in one room at my old house, I realized that it felt really good not to have anything on that wall. And why is that? Well, psychologically, when we have a lot of decor on all of our walls, our eyes are constantly moving around at all the different pieces, right? We're constantly looking at all of these different things. And when that happens, often it can lead us to feel overwhelmed because it's either just so much visually to take in, or we start making that wonderful list that we all make in our heads about all the things that we need to be doing, the cleaning that we need to be doing. Maybe the picture is crooked. We need to rehang it. We want to put it somewhere else. It's not as peaceful as it always seems to have a ton of decor. And so looking at your living spaces right now, what are the pieces that you really love and adore? And what are those just extra, maybe the cheap ones you got at the antique store or the ones that somebody gave you, those pieces that you've kept and hung up because they were there, but maybe you're not really enjoying them. And those pieces, once you start slowly taking them out, you'll realize that your spaces are becoming more airy, more open. And for me, honestly, having some blank walls, like the two that are right here, that I can just kind of look at and breathe and have open space, creates a lot more calm for me in this area that is often pretty hectic. Okay, so I started to hit on this one before, but I just want to reiterate that creating a cozy, calm living space was an evolution for me, right? For 6 years, almost 7 now, I have been slowly decluttering my home, trying to figure out why I was such a shopaholic and how to fix that part of my brain. So this wasn't perfect, but another thing that really helped me when I started to declutter my decor in my living room was to take everything out and then slowly bring back the things that meant a lot to me. It's called hushing the room. I did not make that up myself, but it's an idea that I was using before I even knew that it was already an idea. It really helps to lock in your brain to what are the things that you're really missing. And for me, it became deciding the decor pieces that were sentimental to me, that meant something to me. Why would I want people to come in my house and just look at everything and all I can say is that it all came from TJ Maxx? I wanted some decor pieces that I had a story behind, that were my grandma's or things that we got from our travels, things that I could talk about. Those were the things that I wanted to keep as decor pieces in my home, those things that I really loved. But how do we get there? It's taking away everything else and really being able to be more evaluative of the things that we are bringing in our home, as opposed to just having a shopping spree like I used to do all the time and changing everything up per season. Those things really just don't make a home cozy. Even though that's what we see in the magazines, it's what we see on Instagram Reels, are all of these beautiful curated pieces that people have out. But if they're not something that is sentimental and something that you really adore and love, then it's not going to make your home feel like warm and coziness. It's going to go back to feeling overwhelmed and chaos. So today I do challenge you to hush a little space in your living room. I challenge you to find a basket that you can use as your catch-all basket in your living space. And I challenge you to question the textures that you're bringing into your living room. Are they comfortable? Are they cozy? Are they creating a space where you actually want to hang out in that area and keep it looking nice? All right, friends, if you have enjoyed this, then please watch one of these videos right here, because I'm sure that you're going to gain some more insight into how to create the minimalist home of your dreams. And I wish you guys all the very best.